You said you had an opinion. Wilf Zaha for Chelsea. Just some context. I ran this story in my transfer notebook on the talkSPORT website at the start of August, saying that Wilf Zaha was someone that Chelsea have on their radar. It's now being suggested in various media outlets that if their interest in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang doesn't reach a positive conclusion, they could well come in for Zaha between now and Thursday. He's got a year left on his contract. It would take a big offer, wouldn't it, to persuade Crystal Palace to sell their talisman?
I don't think it would take a huge
really?
offer.
What are we talking?
Before we was talking 70, 80 million when Arsenal come in a few years back. But
50?
Maybe a little bit less, 40, 50 million. I think with a year left, he could obviously sit out his contract. I said this last season, probably the season before. If he doesn't leave in this window, it could be he's at Palace forever. Now, there's always speculation over Zaha, always. He's Crystal Palace talisman, he's their best player, probably their best player in history, if I'm being honest.
Better than you?
Oh, I forgot about me. But yeah, listen, probably their most important and best player in history. Not most important goal, we'll keep that to one side. And he's getting better. He's getting better and better as the years go by. He seems to be improving again this season compared to last season. You know, he's already flying in terms of goals. I think he got 3 in 3. He was out from an injury in the last game. And when you're out towards the end of the transfer window for injury, there's a lot of speculation. Why is he missing out? I don't know. I've said, as someone who's got an affiliation to Crystal Palace, I'd love to see him stay. I'd love to see out his career at Palace. But if I'm thinking of a neutral, again, I'd still love to see how far he can get. I'd love to see him play Champions League and see him competing against the best teams, the best players in the world, because I think he's more than good enough to compete and shine in these teams. So it'll be interesting last few days. But I honestly couldn't tell you the value that Crystal Palace would put on him.
I wonder if Arsenal might be having a look as well, because I think Mikel Arteta, having let Nicola Pepe go to Nice, is looking maybe for another option out wide. Do you think Wilf Zaha is good enough to go to a club like Arsenal or even Chelsea and make an impact?
I think he's more than capable. I think people judge the Man United move on why some people might say no, but at a young age he went to Manchester United. I think now he's seasoned. I think he's someone who knows what he's very, very good at. His output in terms of when he's in the final third has got a lot better than where it was. And as Daz said, he is a fantastic player and he's someone who will get people off of their seats. So Chelsea fans would love him, Arsenal fans would love him, and he's that little bit more mature now in terms of the way he plays his game. And what he wants to do is he wants to go at you, he wants to hurt you. He wants to penetrate at all times, and I think when you're someone like that, any big club, especially when you can do it, will be lucky to have you.
He's one of these players that massively divides opinion. We've seen it every time I speak about him, every time we talk about him, anytime any media outlet talks about him, there's such a divide. But a lot of the negativity around him is to do with his perceived petulance on the pitch. He just plays on the edge, and that's what he does. We had him on the boot room last season, Crookie, if you remember, and he spoke about the passion he has, and he just wants to win, and that spills over in the way he acts sometimes. And I don't have an issue with that. And you look at every single and any Crystal Palace supporter, they absolutely adore him, and any supporter of any other club, if he went there, would adore him as well, because you want players like that in your team that are so desperate to win.
Let's have it right, Baz, yeah? Players, the best players, not every player, because there's players that play on the edge, but they're just not good enough.
Yeah.
All the good players who play on the edge, you wouldn't want to take that out of them because then you lose them. Not. Roy Keane, one of the best. Yep. They played on the edge, which made them the player that they were. That's what this guy's about. He plays on the edge because he knows when he's on the edge, he's going to be the best version of himself. If he don't feel passion, that's the time when you know it's not for me.
And you know what? And if Crystal Palace were to part ways with him this season, again, it remains to be seen. They have adequate replacements as well in Eze.
Do they?
Or Eze, because we see this pronunciation video, Eze.
Is that what he calls himself?
Yeah, that's what he wants to be called.
Really?
And Elise, who's fantastic as well.
Elise? Or is it Elise?
Elise, yeah. But yeah, I think if it was to be done soon, they'd be able to potentially get someone in as well. But now's probably the better time to get rid of Wilf compared to the last few years when it was only Zaha. He was their main man. We see the first half against Man City without Wilf, they were able to deal with that, and they hadn't done that recently. I know they got annihilated second half, but that would happen. But they're not able to play without Wilf, and we've seen that. So if they were to get rid of him, now is probably a good time.